Welcome to Money Convos, where we discuss personal finance and investment tips. We're committed to helping people create wealth and achieve financial freedom. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Alright then, let's head into today's conversation.
Thank you all for joining. Today we are talking about financial leverage. I'm going to start from the top. Financial leverage, it all starts about how we can use loans to help ourselves in a good way. And the first thing we need to think about when we think about loans is about financial leverage is that we need to take a loan first, and then that loan we'll use it to make an investment. So the question is, what is a loan? A loan is when you borrow someone's money to do business. When you take money from somebody with a promise that, hey, give me this amount of money and I'll return it in 1 year, in 3 months, in whatever time. And in the meantime, I'll pay you interest. Or when I'm returning your money, I'll pay you interest on that money that you gave me. The interest is like rent. So you can look at a loan as if how you take your rent, all right? You borrow a landlord's apartment or house, and then you say, well, I'm signing a 2-year lease. I'll use your house for 2 years. And at the end of the 2 years, I'll give you your house back. But every month I'll be paying you rent for allowing me to use your house. So a loan can be likened to your rental payments, right? Or the whole process of you renting a house. Okay. So now you've taken this loan. The question is, how can it help you? The whole idea behind financial leverage is by taking a loan, you can make more money than you would have if you hadn't taken the loan. All right. So by taking the loan, you are going to make more money than if you used your own money. That's the whole idea behind financial leverage. And I saw this definition on Investopedia, which I loved, and I used in the adverts for this session. And it says, financial leverage is an investment strategy of using borrowed money to increase the potential return of an investment. Now, in the next few minutes, I'll demonstrate to you how you can make more return on your money. All right. But let's start with the types of loans that we would talk about. The first one I would talk about is a simple business loan that you're going to use to do a business. Another we'll talk about is taking a car loan. A lot of us have car loans. We borrowed money to buy a car. Then there's mortgage. A lot of us are thinking about taking mortgages rather than just waiting to build a house, one cement bag and one set of iron rods per month, right? And then there's student loans, which I'll speak about towards the end. Taking a cue from the kind of loans I mentioned, there are 2 key factors that you need to consider. In fact, I'll make it 3 now. 3 key factors that you need to consider as you want to take loans to take advantage of financial leverage. The first thing is, when you take the loan, it should be for investment purposes. Second thing is that investment or the business that you are doing should be profitable. The third thing you need to know is risky. What do I mean by each of these? Taking a loan for investment purposes, right? Whatever you are going to use the money for, let's say you borrow 100,000, you're going to use it to run a business. That's good. If you borrow 100,000 to go and fund a wedding, I know, socially speaking, you may think it's an investment in yourself, in your partner, all of that. But in this context, we are talking about financial decisions. So let's keep the definition to financial investments for this conversation. Another example someone would say is a car. 2 people can buy a car. One will be an investment and another will not be an investment. If you buy your car and the sole purpose of using the car is to take you to and from work and to church, to run your errands, personal stuff, that's not an investment. Yes, you may say it's an investment in your peace of mind, in your comfort and all that. But again, for this context, it's not an investment. All right. Rather, somebody else who takes a loan or who buys a car, actually, someone who buys a car and says that I'm going to use my car for Uber and I'll give people rides, and at the end of each ride, they should pay me money for giving them that service. Now, that is a business. All right. That is an investment. So the car for the second person is an investment. The car for the first person is not an investment. Okay, great. So that's the first thing you need to make sure that the money that you are borrowing for is for an investment. Two, it should be profitable. If you are going to use the money for a business, and that business you will bring in 5,000, your sales for that business is 5,000, but your costs that you incur is 6,000, you're already losing money. You're losing 1,000 CDs already. So if you want to borrow from somebody, the person will ask you, "But where will you get the money from to pay me back?" You don't have anywhere to get your money back, to pay the person back. So they won't want to do that. Okay. So that's something you need to be thinking about. Need to make sure that the business you are doing is profitable. The last thing I want you to consider as we are thinking about financial leverage is it is risky. It is an opportunity. It is not guaranteed. It is risky. What do I mean by is risky? Things could always go wrong when you take a loan, and it exposes you more. If you go and do business, sometimes business may go well, sometimes business may not go well. If you remember in the pandemic time, some people got so crazy about hand sanitizers and face masks. There was one, face shields. Face shields were popular and many people were buying face shields. However, face shields were not selling. So if you got into the business of buying face shields, you wouldn't have made money. Even worse, if you went to borrow money to buy face shields with the intent to sell it, guess what? You'll be out of money. So you need to be careful and appreciate that it is risky. And even worse is if you put your own money into a business and it doesn't go well, okay, fine. All that happens is you lost your money, you are back to square one. If you do a business and it doesn't go well, not only do you lose your money, but now you owe somebody else. So when the thing about financial leverage is when it's doing good for you, it's doing good extra for you. And when it's going bad extra for you. So it just amplifies everything when you involve loans in your investment strategy. So now let's get into the different types of loans and how they can help you, how you can use them to leverage. All right. First thing is the business loans, simple business loan. Let me use an example. You want to do a business. You need 20,000 CDs as startup capital for your business. You ask yourself, well, how do I get this 20,000 CDs? Either you, please just give me a quick second. So either you use your own money, to fund the business, or you go and borrow some of the money, either all of the money or some of the money. Now, in this example, I want to use somebody who borrows half of the money. Okay, so there's somebody who uses all their money. That's scenario A, person A. And then the second person says, well, I need 20K, but I'll bring only 10K and I'll go and borrow 10K from either the bank or a friend or somebody. It's a loan. I'll pay interest on it. So scenario A is 100% equity. When I say equity is when you use your own money. Option B is 50% debt. So 50% equity, 50% debt. Debt is a loan, all right? So option B has some debt in there. Now let's get to the business. You start operating your business. You've invested, you've bought the stuff, you are buying and selling. At the end of 1 year, you realize that you made sales of 50,000 and your expenses were 80% of that. All your expenses, your direct cost, indirect cost, marketing, everything, all your expenses, 80%. So that brings you to 40,000. Okay. That leaves you with your profits before the interest that you have to pay and the taxes that you pay. That profit is 10,000 is 10,000. Okay. That's 50,000 minus 10,000. So at this point, these two scenarios are the same. Whether you borrowed money or you didn't borrow money, your profits before your interest and your taxes is 10,000. But let's look at something. The person who didn't borrow money don't have to pay interest. So the only concern that they have at this point is they have to pay taxes to the government. Assuming 25% taxes, you are looking at paying 2,500 cedis in taxes, and that will leave you with a net profit of 7,500. Then there's somebody else, this person, they borrowed 10,000. That's the half of the 20,000 that they needed. And the interest rate on that was 30%. So that means they have to pay 3,000 cedis. as interest to whoever they borrowed from. So when they take their profits before interest and taxes of 10,000, they take out that 3,000. They are left with 7,000. Now they'll pay taxes of 25% on the 7,000. That's 1,750. So their net profit that they are left with is 5,250. Okay. So at this point, if you are following me, you have a pen and paper, just note these numbers down. The person who didn't borrow, their interest is 0. The person who borrowed, the interest that they have to pay is 3,000. The person who didn't borrow, their net profit is 7,500. But the person who borrowed half of the money that they needed, their net profit is 5,250. Now, just looking at these net profit scenarios, you would say that, oh, well, the person who didn't borrow has more profit. He has 7,500. And then, but the person who borrowed, he has just 5,250. So it looks like if you didn't borrow, you are better off, right? But no, this is where the financial leverage part comes to play. The person who is walking away with profit of 7,500, remember that he had to invest 20,000 cedis to get that 7,500. That means if he's trying to calculate just the return, so I started with 20,000 and I've got profit of 7,500. In percentage terms, how much money have I made on my investment? And the term we use is return on equity. So how much money have I made on top of my 20,000 in percentage terms? It is 38%. All right, 38%. You may want to note this number down. But the person who borrowed half of the money, that means they brought just 10,000, even though the total or the net profit in numbers terms is 5,250, which is less than the 7,500. They are better off because guess what? They brought only 10,000 to get 5,250. That means they are making a profit, a return on equity. The money they've gotten on top of their investment in percentage terms is 53%, or more specifically 52.5%. All right. So now you ask yourself, which of these would you want to be? Do you want it to look like you are making more money nominally, or you want your money to grow at a faster rate? Because that return on equity, that percentage growth of your money is what's important. So somebody is telling you, bring 20,000 to come for 7,500 in profit.
Visit to download your spaces today.
Interest in growth of your money. All right. And another person is saying, bring just 10,000 and I'll give you 5,250. Which one is better off for you? Clearly, it's the one with the higher return on equity, the higher growth of your money. And that's where the financial leverage comes to play. What we are saying is that the second person, by taking on a loan, they have been able to to grow their money at a faster rate. Instead of growing their money at 37.5% or 38%, now they are growing their money at 53%. They are making an extra 15 percentage points on their money. All right. They are bringing less to get a certain amount of money. So they are better off. This is what we mean by financial leverage. Basically, it's like you go to do any investment, you ask them, what rate will you give me? What rate will you give me? What I'm saying is, if you fund your business in this scenario with 10%, with 50% in loans, instead of getting just 38%, you can actually get 53%. Which one would you prefer? And that is the benefit of financial leverage in a simple business case. Of course, it can get complicated. And I want us to test this out with the conditions I gave earlier on, right? And I said that if you want to borrow, you need to make sure that it's for investment purposes. If it wasn't for investment purposes, then guess what? You won't be making any revenue, you won't be incurring any expenses, but you have to pay the loan. So you're already in negative, all right? The second condition, I said, is it needs to be a profitable venture. So imagine you've gone to borrow this amount of money, right? And these scenarios, rather than the business making profits, your costs, you made revenue of 50,000, but your costs are 60,000. Guess what? You'll be making losses because you're already losing 10,000 on the business itself, but you still have to pay somebody 3,000 on the loan. Then now they are going to say, well, I don't care whatever happened to your business, you still have to pay me. So you have to go and find wherever you are going to get that money. So now you have 10,000 in losses plus your 3,000 in interest that you have to pay. And so you are at negative 13,000. At this point, you ask yourself, okay, what's going to be my return on my investment? If you've taken a loan, your return on your investment is negative 130%. But if you didn't take a loan, your loss will be just 50% of your money gone, because you invested 20,000 and now you have to, and they are losing 10,000 of that. So that's just 50% of that gone. But in the scenario where you invested 10,000 and you have to find a way to cough up, you are losing 13,000. That's 130%. So you are losing way more than you brought. That is the third condition or the third consideration I gave you. It is risky. So you need to make sure it's profitable. Okay. So this was just to give you some scenarios. At this point, if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. I'll let you come in to ask. But this was a simple business case. I'm going to move on to talk about taking a mortgage. And I think that part is where a lot of people stand to benefit. Any questions before I move on? Okay. So, no questions just yet. So I will keep it moving. If you have any questions, drop it in a message or in a reply to the chat, or raise your hand and I'll attend to it. Okay. Next thing we need to think about is mortgages. I love mortgages because where we've been in Ghana, traditionally people would wait to will have to be building their house like one cement block at a time. So when you start working, or when you determine you want to buy a house in future, you want to own your own home in future, every month you are putting some savings aside. You're putting your savings aside. And then while you are paying rent, or maybe you are living with family, let's assume somebody's paying rent. You are paying your rent, and on top, you are saving your money 1 month at a time. And you are buying some piece of land, you put a down payment. In a few months, you finish buying the land. Then you start doing your foundation, you pay the architect is designing, you're doing all those things out of your savings monthly. Everything is going slow but sure. And you're still paying your rent as you are doing all of this. But when you take a mortgage, you get so much financial leverage. And what does that mean? Let's go back to the definition of financial leverage, as I said earlier, according to Investopedia, right? It says using an investment is an investment strategy of using borrowed money to increase the potential return of an investment. Here, with the mortgage, it goes even beyond the financial. It goes to the point of, one, you get access to a home way faster. Instead of taking 5 years or more to build your house, you can bring just 20% of the money in down payment, or 10%, or however much they need from you. You bring it, and then you get a mortgage. You go ahead and build your house. They finish your house as soon as possible, whether it's 18 months or 2 years, you get it done faster. All right. Two, you get access to, you have a down payment of, let's say you want to buy a house that is worth, let's say 500,000 cedis. Okay. Maybe you saved 100,000 so far. At least now with your 100,000, you have a house that is worth 500,000. If you were going to save your money, you still have to wait how many more years before you get all that 500,000 to buy the house or to build it. And as you are waiting, remember, prices are also going up. It's not like they are waiting around for you. So you need to make sure that you are making enough room to increase the amount that you are saving. Because that 500,000 you are eyeing today, it will be like 700,000 in 3 years, and you need to cough up more money. So all that opportunity cost for you to have to cough up more money by doing it yourself. Why don't you pay somebody? Why don't you do a mortgage so that you save how much money you need to invest? Going back to the investment, the simple business example. Remember, with that one, because you took a loan, you brought less money, just a little money, and you're able to afford something bigger. Same thing here. You bring small money with a mortgage, with a 20% down payment or whatever down payment, and you can access a higher amount in a home value. Plus, you save yourself the risk of increasing housing costs, or increasing cost of materials. If initially you had budgeted that it would be 500,000 to build it, cement price will go up, iron rods will go up, labor will go up, everything will go up. At the end of the day, you'll be ending up paying 700,000. Save yourself all that drama. Why not let it cost you 500,000 now than let it cost you 700,000 later. That's one angle. Another thing about the mortgage is you get to build equity, and it's a forced saving tool. Here we are talking about everything is financials. Okay, then you save the amount, this money, you save this, you save that, everything is all good. But we all know that when we draw our budgets and we come up with financial plans and all that, sometimes life happens and we end up not being able to stick to our savings plan. We said that we'll put 1,000 cedis aside every month, but sometimes this will happen, sometimes that will happen. But the beauty of taking a mortgage as a way that helps you is you see it as a forced savings mechanism. You force yourself, you have to save, because guess what? Every month the bank is expecting that you make your payments. It's like your rent. Oh, plus there's a benefit of the fact that you get to stop paying rent and move into your own house. So the money that you'll be paying towards the rent, it goes into building your own savings. So if you are paying 1,000 cedis in rent every month, chances are when it's in your own home, fine. It may be more expensive, maybe it'll be 2,000 or 3,000, but at least that money goes to paying down how much you owe the bank and is building up your portion of how much you own in your own house. When you start off, if it's a 20% down payment, the bank owns 80%. But every month, as you are paying them their monthly payments, they are reducing it from 80% to 79 to 78. Every month is going down, then you own more. You are forcing yourself to save because you know that if you don't pay the bank, they'll kick you out of your house. But when you have to rely on your own savings, you ask yourself, well, if I don't save this month, who come and kick me out of my house? Nobody. I've paid my rent. My rent is lower. I have extra money. I have to do some one or two things. I have to take care of the family, blah, blah, blah. No one will kick you out, right? So you just need to you just do whatever you want. But the mortgage will force you to save. That's a benefit of that. Of taking a mortgage. But back to technically speaking, financial leverage, that mortgage is basically saying that, well, with this loan, come with just a little money, but get access to more money that you can do better things faster. That's the extra leverage you get. It's like you trying to push a car, or you are trying to move some things and you are doing it alone. I'm seeing Danielle here. As tiny as Danielle is, she has a huge many boxes that she wants to carry. If she carries it alone, it's going to take forever and it's going to tie her back will hurt and all that. But if she goes to call 10 friends of hers to come and help her, the job will be done real quick. Of course, she'll have to buy some meat pie for them, but at least she gets a house. All right. So that's one benefit of taking a mortgage, and how it can be a leverage tool for you, financial leverage tool for you. All right. I want to look at another scenario. Now we are going away from financial leverage in the very most technical sense by looking at the car loan example. Some people will say taking a car loan may be a profitable venture. Some may say it's not. But at this point, it's a gray area, and I'll say that all these things I've come to say, think about your individual considerations. With a mortgage, with a business loan, you can easily work the numbers and it's clearer, it's more black and white. However, with things like car loans and student loans, it all depends. It's more subjective and you need to understand for yourself. All right. So with a car loan, maybe you live somewhere really far away and transportation is a problem and you need to get to work on time. You need to drop off your kids at school even before, and your career is important to you. You are starting out. You can't carpool with anybody. That's share ride with anybody. You absolutely need a car. Yes, I would say then for you, taking a car loan is imperative. It's actually necessary for your career to go on. It's necessary for your normal life to go on. You don't need to get the fanciest car, just something to move you from point A to point B without breaking down on the road, right? That way you are using the auto loan as a way to as a financial lever that can help you achieve things that you normally wouldn't do. For example, right now I know car prices are expensive, but let's say you want to buy some old Toyota Corolla just to move you from point A to point B, and it's going to cost 60,000. And that 60,000, the bank says bring a down payment of 10,000, and they'll give you the 50,000 to go and buy the car. All you had was 10,000. We know that won't buy you a good car. The good car was cost 60,000. But now you're going to use the loan as a means to get you to that point where you can buy a car and then you can advance your career, you have a better quality of life, all of that, right? But if you say you're going to wait and save up that money, how long did it take you to save 10,000? Are you going to keep putting on pause all the other aspects of your life while you try to save up that money to buy the car? That's going to be another 2, 3, 4 years when you can get the car now. Plus, remember, in 2, 3, 4 years, the price of the car will probably be higher. All right. So that's a consideration. Why not take the loan right now? But if it's a situation where you don't need a car, you can go to work with your neighbor, or you can take the trotro passes right in front of your house. Like, it's not, and you can't, and you really can't even afford to make the monthly payments on the car, and it would be a hassle. Then that one, it won't be a leverage for you. It will be a very bad situation for you because you have to be making the payments on it. And even worse, you go and buy a bad car and it's giving you problems. Not only are you making the monthly payments, but you're making payments to mechanics all the time. In that case, there's no financial leverage. So again, I said, with a car loan thing, it depends. It's a gray area. So you need to get some advice. You need to make sure that you're considering everything. And speaking of advice, this is a point where I would bring in investment friend, right? Get on Instagram, look for at investment friend. There, Seram and Mimi provide a lot of content that's more targeted. Like, the stuff I'm saying here on Money Convos is general, but if you want it to be targeted, if you want information that'll help you to make decisions based on your scenario, your situation, what do? Get somebody to walk you through that process, give you the advice, and there you can get some good financial coaching on Investment Friend. There are a lot of challenges and good contents that they provide to help people. So I encourage you to get on there and learn from the tips that they will give you. Okay, great. Bringing it back. So it depends, okay, with a car loan. The last thing that I want to talk about is student loans. With student loans, again, it depends. What are the criteria for or the things I said you should consider when thinking about financial leverage or going to get a loan that will give you financial leverage? One, you need to understand that you need to make sure that it's in something that is an investment. So we say student loans. If you are going to take a loan to learn to take a course that will provide you with a means of living, all right, a means of generating an income. Sorry, a means of generating an income. For example, you are going to go to school. You are going to come out as a medical doctor. We know that you have a career. Fine, I think that qualifies as a criteria. All right, but if you are going to take the loan to go and learn something that will just be a hobby for you, you probably should not be doing that. All right. What's a hobby? I know some people who have said, "Oh, I want to learn how to do makeup, so give me the money so that I'll learn. I'll buy the equipment. I'll buy the makeup things. I don't have any woman here to help me with the makeup things. The conditioner and eye mascara and all those things, right? And you're just gonna do it for fun. That's not an investment, all right? But if somebody is learning these things, takes a loan to learn how to do makeup so that they can run a business that will generate money for them, good, all right? That's a student loan. And I think SNIT offers student loans. All right. So if you are thinking about that, go there. With the car loans, mortgages, many banks offer those things. So business loans, many banks offer that. So you are sorted there. Student loans, you may have to do some more searching to find out who would offer you those student loans. So that was the first check. Is it an investment? Is it going to generate revenue for you in future? That's the first check. The second check is that investment that you are making, the business that you are going to do, the career that you are getting into, will it be profitable? So if you are going to take a student loan to go and study a course that is not that will not put you in a good place in the job market, all right, maybe you shouldn't take this student loan. I don't mean to look down on any profession, okay, but let's say you go and take a student loan to become a medical doctor or an architect or an engineer, or to get into, let's say, oil and gas in an economy that they've just found oil and they are looking for a lot of engineers. Basically, you are going into an industry that there's high demand. There's not enough people there and they are hiring a lot and they are paying a lot for those services. All right. That's one. Versus somebody who, again, as I'm saying this, I'm looking keenly at Paulina, our most recent PhD. Is it Paulina? How do you say it? Is it graduate PhD, graduate from PhD, or our newest PhD holder, Paulina? Okay, not to look down on academia or anything, right? But you go and get a degree in English and or history, but you haven't figured out how to turn that into a lucrative career. All right. And maybe you want to go and be a teacher in a government school, a government primary school or something, and they don't pay well. Okay. They don't pay well. You be barely getting by. You barely have enough money for transportation, rent, utilities, barely keeping body and soul together. That is not profitable. Whatever business you are doing, whatever career you are going into, you need to make sure that if you are going to take a loan, you are going to be making enough salary to pay back, to pay for all your personal expenses and have enough left over to pay off that loan. So these are all questions you need to ask even before you get into it. Some people, a lot of times when they want to, a lot of times when people are talking about student loans, it's usually about master's programs. So you need to ask yourself, this master's program I'm getting into, will it give, is it going to improve my chances to get a good job in a good industry that pays well? That's what you need to be thinking about. So that's the second check. And lastly, you still need to understand that it's risky. All right. Just because it's risky doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You just need to and appreciate the risk, know what can go wrong, and secure yourself. So some of the risks is you go to the school, you come back, and then the industry has changed. People are not thinking about that industry again. No one is really hiring. Maybe let's say it's nursing. I'm not saying that's the situation right now, but for some reason, so many people in the last how many years there was a nurses shortage. So in the last 5 years, so many people have gone to nursing school and they all graduated. And now the government is like, yeah, we can't hire any more nurses. So you all got to stay. You have to stay at home for 2-3 years instead of the normal wait 6 months. That's a problem, right? That's a risk. Yes, at the time you're making your decision, it looked like this was going to be lucrative. Or for some reason, you went into an industry and suddenly it becomes too risky. Maybe you went into engineering and the part of engineering you went was a very niche kind of mining. Now they said because of environmental concerns, no one is doing that kind of mining again. Or you have to travel all the way to a different country and there are few opportunities to go there. Now you are in a pinch. Or you got into a certain kind of job and now chat GPT has come. Artificial intelligence has come. Now people are using artificial intelligence to do that work that you trained so hard in school and paid so much to learn. Now, those are all risks. So you need to ask yourself, what am I doing to make sure that I'm standing out? I'm anticipating future trends and I'm putting myself in a good position. Some of it may be make sure that you are going to a school that provides enough career opportunities. For example, when I was making my decision to go abroad, to go to school, I made sure that I was applying to the best of schools, such that even in tough times, which is happening now, at least I know that the companies will start hiring from the top. And after when they finish taking the Harvard people, at least there will be some left for those of us in the other Ivy League schools. You understand? But if you say, okay, you want the cheapest school, you don't want to pay too much, that's fine. But you're still gonna take a loan and go through all that risk and go and learn hard. You may end up being priced out of the market because other people are in a better position. Also, it may mean while you're a student, don't wait till you graduate before you start looking for the job, right? Start networking, start going for events, start talking to people. Hey, I'm doing this program. So if you know any opportunity, like let them know all these things. Put yourself out there, present yourself nicely, work on your resume, all those things. Okay. Those are the things that you can do to improve your situation on the market. All right. I'm not saying that because there are risks, don't do anything at all, but there are risks, but protect yourself. That's the whole idea behind financial leverage, right? It's not going to be easy. I mentioned earlier that with financial leverage, when it's profitable, it will give you extra profits. But when it's going bad, when you are making losses, you have more losses to incur because you don't only lose your own money, but now you've lost your money and on top you have to pay somebody else. All right. So that's the whole idea behind financial leverage. Along the way, I gave you some general advantages, but I'll just recap what some of these general advantages are. If you are running a business, it means you pay lower taxes. In the example that I gave, or let me just go through all the summary of the advantages before I delve deeper if you want me to. So if you are doing a business, interest is deducted before you pay taxes. Interest is seen as a business expense. So you get to pay lower taxes to the government. Your returns will be higher. What does that mean? Even though your profits may seem smaller than if you did it all on your own, yes, you brought smaller money. So your return will be amplified. In percentage terms, you brought smaller money to get more profits, all right, than if you didn't. So your returns in percentage terms would be higher. Another benefit of financial leverage, especially when you are doing personal, when it's for not so much of the business loan, it's a mortgage or it's a car loan, you are forced to save. And as you are saving, yes, you pay off the bank, but you build up the equity in the asset. If it's a house that you took a mortgage for, every month you are paying back a portion of the how much you borrowed from them, and you are building up your equity in there. And also you get access to large funds. So now you be in a position where you are doing things that you normally would not have been able to do. If you were waiting you want to buy a house worth 500,000 cedis and you are waiting to save up 500,000, or you are buying it one cement bag at a time, rather in a shorter time, you can bring 20% of that money. That's 100,000. And then you get access to that same house. All right. So access to larger funds that boosts your return. You don't have to wait too much. But always remember, in as much as there are advantages to taking loans, there's benefits to financial leverage, there's always risks, and you need to talk to somebody who can help you. All right. And again, I encourage you, get on Instagram, go look up investment friend, investments_friend. Seram and Mimi do a good job of giving you coaching that is tailored to your situation. A lot of the things I've said here today, maybe it depends. It's a gray area. These are the general principles, but you need to get extra information about your own situation to help you make that decision. So yeah, these are some things, some of the thoughts that I had on financial leverage. And I would encourage people, don't be afraid to take loans. Of course, some loans are bad. If every month you are borrowing money, it just means you are not able to live on your income. You need to check your income, make more money, find a way to earn more income. I know it's not easy. I'm just saying it so easily, but it takes a lot of effort. Yes, that's on the positive side. And there's the minus side that you need to attack, reduce your costs so that you stop borrowing every month to live hand to mouth, right? Then, so yeah, that's if you are doing consumer loans. Also, consumer loans, if you are borrowing money to buy bags and stuff that you don't need, it may not come out as a loan. You may not see it as a loan, but it just means you want to buy something, you don't have the ready cash for it. So what are you doing? You are buying it on credit. They tell you, okay, pay back at the end of the month when your salary comes. That's a loan. It doesn't look like it's a loan. You're not signing any agreements. They're not telling you about interest, but it's all a loan. All right. So when it comes to your consumer side, as much as possible, you want to cut down on loans. But when it's opportunities for you to make more money, opportunities for investments, think about how you can use loans for your benefits. All right. At this point, if there's anyone who has a question, I would like to take them, or we just start wrapping it up and we call it a night and leave you to think about loans as you're going into this week. If you have a question, you could raise your hand or drop something in the chat and I could answer your question for you. Again, as we wrap up, I just want to remind you what is financial leverage? Leverage is an investment strategy of using borrowed money to increase the potential return of your investment. All right. So instead of going into any investment all on your own, whether it's a business, whether it's real estate, whether it's a home you want to buy, whether it's a car for a business or even a car for your own personal issues, or personal use, but can alleviate a whole lot of problems for you. Maybe you can use other people's money, that's a loan, to help you. Well, in the absence of any questions, I'd like to call it a wrap. Thank you all for making time on this pleasant Sunday night as you go into the week thinking about what you want to do in terms of your investments. I hope you consider loans. Consider taking loans in a healthy way, and it will be some financial leverage for you. where you can make profits, you can make more profits when you take loans responsibly. However, there's also risk. If things go down, if things go badly, you'll be incurring more costs than if you had used your own money. So just keep that in mind and get all the support you need. In terms of support, get on Instagram, look for at investment_friend. Investment friend. You get all the financial coaching financial coaching that you need to help you make the right decision for your scenario. And also keep coming here on Money Convos to get this information about personal finance and investments and career coaching and just self-development so that you can do better for yourself. And all these resources I've shared, do share with other people on Facebook. It's Money Convos GH, on Twitter or X. It's Money Convos GH. Instagram, say Money Convos GH. If you want to play back this conversation, you can come back here on Twitter or X, or you can go wherever you listen to podcasts and it will be there. Or YouTube, just search for Money Convos on YouTube and you go play back our conversation. I appreciate all of you for joining in this conversation as usual. You keep us going, and we hope that you come back here next Sunday. Next Sunday, we are talking about the holiday season. What are the tips that we can give you to save money on how much you're going to spend on your shopping, and give you gift ideas to help people, right? To help yourself as you're thinking about the people you want to appreciate. You need some tips there. So we'll provide that for you next weekend. All right. Thank you for your time. Have a good night and have a productive week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.